Hi everyone, it's Kristen. Oh, you could just barely see Dazzler's ear, and I thought she was going to join in the video, and she left instead. Sad. So I'm 100% sure that I haven't worn this shirt yet in any videos I've done because I just like literally found it hidden in a bag with all my other superhero shirts that I just randomly rediscovered. Yes, I know it's Thursday. Or I was supposed to do a video Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So today is Sunday. So I'm behind. So this week just I worked a lot and I'm gonna be honest, I was tired. So I didn't feel like doing it. So we're gonna try to do all 4 days in one video. We'll see how that goes because you know how I am. um. Oh yeah, I'm not sure about this lip color. It seems kind of dark for me. Oh, anyway, oh well. So, okay, Thursday, and I actually do recognize this image. It's rare that I'm like, oh, I know where this is from. I mean, I knew where that Electra image was from, and I know where this is from, but I mean, most of the time, I'm not sure where they're from. I can't remember. So, this is from the As Guardians of the Galaxy series that they had, and you can see Angela, and by Angela, is Throg, the frog of thunder. Can you see that? There you go. And when Loki turned Thor into a frog, he and Thor became friends. And when Thor became a human again, he took a piece off of Mjolnir and created his own, hammer. And he became a frog. I feel like his name was like Simon Walterson or something, and like when his wife died, he wanted to live as a frog instead of a man. I don't know. I just have this vague memory of that. And then of course there's Scourge the Executioner, and there is Kevin Masterson, Eric Masterson's son. Of course, Odin gave Eric the Thunderstrike, the enchanted mace. And you can also see Valkyrie, who we just talked about, Angela, I've talked about, and the Destroyer, we've talked about. So, oh, and look, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which we just talked about Janet the other day. So, and I talked about Ant-Man on, some of her stuff. So we don't have to talk about everything again. So we'll try to, make this brief-ish. So his Ant-Man is interesting because he's gone through so many different first. Like he first appeared in Tales to Astonish 27, and that was like 1962 before, the Avengers were an official thing. As himself. I was like, what was I trying to say? He appeared as himself, and in 35 he appeared as Ant-Man, Tales to Astonish, and in Tales to Astonish 49 he appeared as Giant Man. He could grow to 12 feet. And then in Avengers 59, he, became Yellow Jacket. I'm like, where am I going with this? I'm sorry. And that happened in 68. And then in 2009, 2010, somewhere in there, I forget exactly when, he took up the mantle of Wasp because Janet had, died at that point. So of course I already talked about, how he came to be Ant-Man, how he met Janet, his first wife, etc. So we'll skip that part. And of course you guys already know about Ultron. So in the 70s, Ultron had brainwashed him and had him revert from Yellow Jacket to Ant-Man, and he met the Avengers, the team, for the first time, seemingly the first time, and he attacked them because there were some members that he didn't recognize. But Janet was able to step in and stop him. This is also the time that Scott Lang took an ant suit, or stole an Ant-Man suit, and Hank let him have it as long as he promised to do good with it. So in the 80s, that's when he had his mental breakdown. He attacked a guy from behind that had already surrendered. He built a robot that would attack the Avengers, and then he would come in and save the day because he would be the only one that would know how to disarm it. Yeah. Janet, she knew of this plan and she thought it was a bad idea and begged him not to do it. And this is when he hits her. So he's expelled from the Avengers and Janet divorces him. And he also, Egghead tricks him into stealing like this storage of adamantium, like government's adamantium. And the Avengers believe Egghead to be dead, so they don't believe Ant-Man when he says, well, it wasn't me, it was Egghead who like made me do it. And they kind of, this is kind of more proof that he's descending into madness, so to speak. So they're, so Hank ends up in jail. And during this time is when Wanda dates Tony. And but when Egghead shows up, then Hank gets out of jail because obviously he was telling the truth. So during the 90s was, on the whole Onslaught saga. 2000s, let's see. The only thing really interesting I remember is that Giant Man and Yellow Jacket, like two like kind of personalities of Hank's, they split. And then Janet helps them come back together and she convinces them that they need each other. So, yeah. And and during like Civil War, the superhero registration, he was he was one of the administrators of the academy where they trained new heroes that had registered. Time called him the Man of the Year. And at some point, it was revealed later that he was replaced by a Skrull. And I remember Loki coming to him like in disguise and getting him all hyped up, saying he's scientist supreme, which is equated to sorcerer supreme on Earth. I mean, that'd be really cool to be like, oh, hey, kind of like a nod to you're the best scientist in the world. I mean, of course, he does have so far in the superhero stat cards the highest intelligence at 7, so makes sense. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, Avengers Academy. He founded Avengers Academy for um for new heroes. Oh, and I forgot to mention in the 80s, West Coast Avengers. He wasn't really a part of the team per se. Like he wasn't like, hey, suit up and fight bad guys. He was more of like an advisor to the team. But like he and Tigra became like a flirtation then. It wasn't like it didn't go anywhere. It was brief, but interesting fact still. And then we have Ultron, and he's back. He comes back a lot. He merges with Hank, and he wants all humans and robots to merge. And it's revealed that when they defeat Ultron, that Hank's human side, because they merged, was dead pretty much from the beginning. And then we come, what I call, because it reminds me of Old Man Logan, Old Man Hank. He comes back and says when Ultron was defeated, basically, well, we learn this later, that a fragment of himself, his mind, escaped and like recreated him, but older and like more paranoid and stuff to, shield him from Ultron, I guess. And he created this alternate like artificial personality in Whirlwind's corpse. It was like an experiment to basically try to stop Ultron, and Ultron 12 took over that personality, that corpse, to protect Hank. And if you remember, whenever I talked about Ultron and all the Ultrons that have ever been, Ultron 12 was the good Ultron that saved Hank. I feel like that he feels like that is kind of his mission in life. So, okay, now for so this makes sense. We did Shauna the She-Devil, so now we're doing Ka-zar. And this, you can find this in Frankenstein number 13, November 74. Also appears in Man-Thing number 3, March of 74. And this is from Ka-zar 1, January 74. And basically they just took away the background and put in, more of just a solid color so that Ka-zar would pop more for the stamp. But I mean, this is way more fun. There's the volcano, active volcano in the back of Zabu, the dinosaur that he's just killed. So what's interesting is that Ka-zar was actually not the first Ka-zar. The first Ka-zar was named David Rand, which I almost said Daniel, like Danny Rand, like Iron Fist. And he and his parents, again, British, not royal, not nobility, but they were pretty wealthy because they were visiting the grandfather in Cairo. And David was 3 at the time, and their plane crash landed in the Congo. And what happened is the mom died, and the dad, he kind of, he raised David, but he kind of went mad at the same time. Like, kind of, mad just with being in the jungle, and mad, kind of with grief. And, let's see what. Oh, so Ka-zar comes from a son of, I think it was like son of a lion, because, no, brother of Zar, because Zar is the lion that he got out of the quicksand, which I remember, like, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, like, there's a lot of references to quicksand. Like, I remember seeing the Batman, 66 show with Adam West, and Batgirl was stuck in quicksand, and then, of course, Never Ending Story, and Princess Bride. I just thought quicksand was, like, actually a bigger, like, a real thing. But, of course, I've never encountered quicksand, but, of course, I don't live where you would find quicksand. But anyway, so he saved him from quicksand. His dad, David's dad, eventually died because he was killed by this criminal that found emeralds in the Congo, so wanted to exploit, the Congo, and, steal all the emeralds, and, of course, keep them all for himself. And then David later got revenge on the man who killed his dad. And then, of course, Ka-zar, that is most well known, he's the son of Lord Plunder, and he's the oldest son of Lord Plunder. And his mom actually died when he was little, and he went with his dad because his dad discovered the Savage Land, and he went with his dad, and his dad was killed by, like, man-apes. And then Zabu, who has almost human intelligence because it was granted by this supernatural kind of mist stuff, he took Ka-zar and raised him. And Ka-zar in that comic means, like, son of a tiger, or no, brother of a tiger. I think it's one of those. I can't remember. So of course, he first appeared in Uncanny X-Men 10, and ever since he appeared in that, or the X-Men appeared in the Savage Land, then more and more outsiders came to the Savage Land, and he encountered more and more, heroes and villains, because they're coming to the Savage Land to exploit, whatever is in the Savage Land, in terms of, plants or animals or minerals, or, whatever, because they have their own source of vibranium, like like Wakanda. Of course, that comes, we learn about that way later. But so in the 70s, actually, Ka-zar, one of the people that came to the Savage Land was at the time, SHIELD agent Bobby Morse, who would later become Mockingbird, and they had, like, a brief romance while she was there, but, it didn't last. So Ka-zar actually was in New York because AIM kidnapped him and took him to New York because they were going to use him. And they actually let Kraven the Hunter out of prison. They sprung him from jail in order to hunt Ka-zar down. And so Ka-zar he escaped from AIM, but he had no memory of who he was. So he became like a kind of a superhero in his own way, saving people, fighting crime. And his memory was restored when he fought Kraven the Hunter for the second time. This was the second time that they fought. So he was saved by Ka-zar was saved by Spider-Man and Shauna, and they went back to the Savage Land. And then, we talked already about kind of the Skrull invasion and how they're trying to take the vibranium from the Savage Land. And Shauna, because they were married and had a kid at that point, she stayed behind with Matthew and Zabu. And Ka-zar actually went to New York to help the heroes fight the Skrulls. And and we talked about the Quati, the plant people, when we talked about Shauna. And another interesting thing is that he was Ka-zar was an agent of Wakanda, and he was doing like reconnaissance, and he traveled back in time to study like ancient Earth. And and then he got like time displaced somehow, and he ended up in this alternate alien reality on this alien planet that was about to be devoured by Galactus. So he made a deal with him so that he would be Galactus's new herald. So I feel like there's been a lot of heralds of Galactus. So let's see. Oh, so for Saturday and Sunday, it's Black Panther, which I'm pretty sure I've talked about him like recently / extensively, so we're not going to talk about him. And then I believe the next one is pretty short. Yeah, okay. So it's the Red Ghost, which you're probably thinking, what? So you can find this stamp from Captain America 180, December 74. Also appears in Captain America 173, May 74. Werewolf by Night, number 19, July 74. And this comes from actually Fantastic Four Annual, because he first appeared in Fantastic Four 13. Fantastic Four Annual number 1, September of 63, art by Jack Kirby and Sol Brodsky. And there's his 3 primates that he trained. So he had a gorilla, a baboon, and an orangutan. And so he was a Soviet scientist who was obsessed with the Soviet Union getting to the moon before the Americans did. So he trained his primates, gorilla, baboon, and orangutan, and he modeled, because he knew about the Fantastic Four, and he modeled his space flight after theirs on purpose in order to get bombarded by cosmic rays, because he wanted powers too. So he got powers, like powers of basically intangibility, and his primates got powers too. Like the gorilla became stronger and more durable, but he didn't change, like he didn't look, like the thing. The baboon can shapeshift and turn into almost anything. And the orangutan, he could attract and repel objects. And so he used, his primates in his schemes. But the funny thing is that sometimes, quite a few times, they rejected him and, fought against him because he didn't treat them very well. Like, he withheld food from them. I mean, what kind of animal is going to be loyal, like, to their master and love them if they, treat them that way? So they rebelled against him several times. He's actually with his council, like, of brainiacs, like MODOK, leader, Dr. Doom. Oh, now I'm drawing a blank on who the other people are. Anyway, they were responsible for the creation of Red Hulk and A-Bomb. And he, sent the Red Ghost sent his apes, his primates, to help Red Hulk, destroy the heroes. And the primates actually, turned on him and Red Hulk actually ended up killing the gorilla. And so Red Ghost, what he did is stole a gorilla, I believe from a zoo, a baby gorilla, and turned it into his new, his new gorilla of his outfit. And at one point, he got new gorillas, called them Alpha and Beta, and even they turned against him. So, like, he doesn't ever have a very good history of, loyalty or doesn't have a very good history of animals being loyal to him, which I can understand. Granted the way he treats them. So, and at one point, his powers caused him to go completely intangible. Like, he couldn't hold a solid form. Like, he couldn't make his form solid. And that, just like Shadowcat, when she was affected by one of Harpoon's weapons, and she, for a long time, or for quite a while, was in a completely intangible state, like a ghost. And he one point also lost his powers, so he got aboard Reed's ship when Reed was going on this mission to recharge his powers. And so he snuck aboard the ship, and when Reed recharged his powers, he gained new powers, and this power to turn into like kind of like a mist like form. Um yeah. So I mean, he's an interesting character, but he's not like a super, I would say, super well-known character. I mean, like one other thing that he's done, if I can remember correctly. No, I think that was it. I think that was all I was going to say about him. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of things to say about him that I could think of. So I just thought I'm going to especially it worked out anyway. So worked out to combine these 4 days together for once, even though I still kind of ran long. But to be fair, some of my other videos have been this long, and they've just been 2 days, 2 day videos. So anyway, I hope you will join me in the future for more videos. And yeah, sometimes life just gets in the way, so I will of course do my best to be better about that. But like I said, life just kind of gets in the way sometimes. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you Tuesday. Until then, bye.